You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about Jiu Jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith. And today's guest is a 3-stripe white belt who trains at Oyster Bay Jiu Jitsu, located in Oyster Bay, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Volger.
Hey, thank you for having me on, Lamar.
Man, I appreciate you being here, sir. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Man, I am doing fantastic. Get to sit here and talk about Jiu Jitsu for an hour, so...
Listen, you're living the dream.
Living the dream. But man, let's get it started, man. Why don't you go ahead and, if you want to, more in depth introduce yourself and how you got started in jiu-jitsu.
Sure. So I'll give you a little bit about myself. So I'm a contractor right now. I own my own business, but so I'm doing well. I'm a designer on the side, but my life wasn't always like that. I'm 35 now, and for a long time, you're trying to figure out what to do for a career, and you're partying and bad breakups, relationships, and college, then back to manual labor and back and forth. And, it's hard finding yourself in life. So in my mid-20s, I got diagnosed with a brain tumor on my left cerebellum, the size of a ping pong ball.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, thank God it was benign. They did the surgery, they got it all out, and I got super lucky. I'm blessed. I could have had complications, no complications, but of course they give you pain meds. And I started off taking them as prescribed, but eventually it's just a bad path that it sends you down, especially if you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
So over time, it becomes an addiction, and then that's a whole thing. I'm not going to tell war stories on this show about, but I'm sure people out there know it gets pretty bad. The amount of money you have to spend, and you can't function without it. So anyway, that was that. And then about a year ago, I decided to clean myself up and stop. And within a couple of weeks of me getting sober, let's say, I joined Jiu Jitsu.
Okay.
And I had always been a big fan, big UFC fan, been watching since the beginning. Just fascinated with what these guys put their body through, and just, it's the most entertaining sport in the world. I mean, there's no question. And was always interested in jiu-jitsu as well. I've rubbed shoulders with Aljamain Sterling in the past, trained at Sarah's for a little bit years ago, Matt Sarah here on Long Island, and was just a big fan of all these guys, especially the New York guys. So I got myself clean, and about a month after I got clean, I went down to Oyster Bay Jiu Jitsu, and I joined. And it's funny, I'm in a group online, a Jiu Jitsu group on Facebook, and I wasn't nervous at first, but I was questioning. I was like asking them, should I get in shape and then join Jiu Jitsu, or should I join Jiu Jitsu to get in shape? Because although I do manual labor, I'm not in fighting shape like these guys are. You know what I mean? And Jiu Jitsu is a combat sport. So I had a friend of mine, Lou, who's a training partner now. At the time, I didn't know him. He reached out to me. His name is Lou, and he said, come down to Oyster Bay Jiu Jitsu. You don't got to get in shape. Just come and join, and you'll love it. I said, all right. So I went down there, met my coach, Dan, Professor Dan. And he, told me a little bit about it, and I signed up on the spot. The next day I started training, and that was just over a year ago. I've been training for a year. And it's amazing. Not only in the ways that it parallels recovery or like NAAA, like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of those virtues, but even for the average person, I think it's a great thing. Mental and physical health, confidence, discipline, self-esteem, and you keep yourself around a group of people that are like-minded. They're trying to get improve themselves physically, improve themselves mentally, and I'm sure with jiu-jitsu, it's like if you could handle getting smashed on the mat inside control, and think under that type of pressure, then everyday life is just nothing.
Nothing at all. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, I did write down a few things like parallels to, and not everybody listens to this is going to have some type of drug history or even really know the intricacies or the ins and outs of AA and NA, but if it could work for people that have hit rock bottom, these type of virtues and these types of ideas, then the average person, it'll help them as well. So here are some comparisons. So when you train at an academy, it's like a brotherhood. Just like when you go to AA or NA, you're putting yourself around a group of people that all have the same common goal. So for, let's say, NA, they're all trying to stay clean. And in jiu-jitsu, you're all trying to get better at jiu-jitsu, try and be consistent in training. Another one is when you go to NA, and let me preface this by saying, this is what they say in recovery. Everybody's recovery is different. I'm not recommending jiu-jitsu as a replacement for actual work on yourself, 12 steps, therapy, or meetings in general, NA meetings. But everybody's recovery is different. I'm very blessed that I have no past trauma. I have no past craziness. So when I just made the decision to get clean, I still have to fight every day to do the right thing. But for me, my recovery is different. My meetings are jiu-jitsu at this point. I'll hit a meeting every once in a while. I have my counselor that I talk to. But for me, I got a lot going on. I don't got time for the bullshit that I used to be into. So this is what it is. This is my recovery. So like I said, I don't recommend it as a replacement, but it could definitely be something that enhances your life. So another comparison of NA and jiu-jitsu, like when you come into a new school, the older guys, I mean, if it's any type of good academy, the older members are going to take the new guys under their wing and help them, let them work a little bit. So same thing with NAA. When you come in there, the old timers, they're going to come and they're going to take you under their wing. Another one is accountability. You're around a bunch of people in a meeting and you're going there 2-3 times a week, and then you don't show up for 3 sessions in a row. They're going to be like, where the hell's Mike? Did he relapse? Where is he? What's going on? Is everything okay? Same with my academy. I try and hit a session at least, let's say, 3 to 5 times a week. If I miss like 2 sessions in a row, my professor is literally texting me like, is everything all right? Where are you? What's going on? Like, so they have some type of vested interest in you as a person, as a training partner, as a student. So that's huge. That accountability is huge. I got one more. And so in these meetings, AA, NA, they say just keep showing up. Keep showing up. Even if you had a bad week, even if you didn't get anything out of the meeting, just keep showing up. Keep coming back. That's what they say. Keep coming back. And the miracles will happen, or you'll live a life beyond your wildest dreams. So in jiu-jitsu, you might get smashed for a month straight. If you just keep showing up, you will get better. You'll get in better shape, and you'll just keep improving in general.
Definitely. Like first and foremost, I do, appreciate you being vulnerable like that to share your story. And, to touch bases on what you're saying about people who deal with any type of addictions or problems or issues. I personally know I battle with, anxiety and depression, real bad. I do have jujitsu, but yeah, I still go to therapy. It's gotten a lot better to where, because at one point I was talking to my therapist twice a month, or somewhere in between. But now I was like, we're down to once a month, if that. But yeah, just like you said, that accountability and the accountability, because if you're surrounded by people that that share that same similar role that you do, and they see that you're putting your heart and all into your recovery or your training, yeah, they will check up on you. Like, they will be like, hey, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a couple of days. My instructor, my training partners, if I miss a day, I'm getting phone calls and texts because they know I'm at the gym, as much as humanly possible. So if I miss a Tuesday, it's like, hey, what's up? What's going on? You good? Yeah, because we didn't see you in class. Like, oh no, man, I just I took a break. Yeah, let us know. But it's yeah, definitely that. And then when you're saying about the just keep showing up, yeah, same thing, same exact thing with with therapy and jiu-jitsu. Like you have to keep going. You have to keep going if you want to see any type of results or changes in your therapy, your AA, or with your training and your growth. You have to keep going, because I was like that where I would want to cancel a session with my therapist, but I'm not going to be able to mentally get myself together unless I go. And yeah, those are I feel like the main two things that will help people in their journey with whatever they're going through. Just show up, and your accountability. Like you have to hold yourself to a certain hold yourself to a certain caliber when it comes to this, because this is your journey. This requires a lot of work.
The accountability is super important, because it's very easy, whether it's an addiction or depression, to isolate, to withdraw. And when you have those type of people around you, people that are counting on you to be there, to train, that keeps you out of that. It'll keep you out of that isolation. I used to isolate a lot. I would just sit there and use drugs by myself, get home from work and just sit in my room. Now it's like I don't have that choice. Not that I would go back to that, but let's say I did start slipping up, I'd get pulled right out of it by my training partners, by my friends and family, who I have a good support system around me now. It's important.
Yeah, and that's awesome, dude. That's so awesome to hear. So do you you say you do the AA and stuff? Do you feel like jiu-jitsu was just like that extra push to get better? Like, do you feel like if you didn't have jiu-jitsu, like your struggle to control your addictions, do you think that would have got the better of you, or what?
I think that having a past an addiction, you want to have control.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot about control, and I think that if I was forced to do it their way and just go to meetings and just get bombarded with this type of recovery stuff, that I might be a little resentful.
Mm-hmm.
that now I'm forced to do this for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like, the way it is at these meetings, it's kind of one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you have the worst trauma in the world, or you just kind of dabbling, like, it's all going to be the same. Nobody can ever smoke weed. Nobody can ever have a drink. You have to call your sponsor 5 times a week and go through the steps. And it's like, you want to have some type of control. So I think I would be a little resentful. Like, the fact that I'm able to have these, like, have a productive lifestyle and a positive hobby and in jiu-jitsu that I spend my time doing, like, I have a little more control, which sometimes is a bad thing for somebody with a past like me, but for myself, it just, I don't know. I feel like I would be a little resentful, like if I was forced to just go to these meetings, and that was my only recourse to stay on track. You know what I mean?
Right. So, what was I about to ask? Because there was something you're saying about, like, the resentment and everything, and I agree with that, because when I wasn't training as much, I was resentful in a lot of, like, it's just a lot of stuff in general, because I wasn't mentally there. I felt like I was being forced to do so, and it was just like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do that, because I've been dealing with depression and anxiety for a while, even before I started training, and I was always here like, oh, go see a therapist, go talk to somebody, and I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that, because I don't feel like that's going to work. I don't feel like me talking to a stranger is going to change anything. But fast forward, I started training, I started falling in love with the sport and everything behind it, and it just gave me a lot of more mental clarity in situations where it's like when I finally was able to talk to somebody, it just boosted everything, because like, oh, my mind is more clear now. That means I can fit more jiu-jitsu in here. So, but yeah, man, that's pretty awesome. That's definitely pretty awesome. No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
More jiu-jitsu.
You said what?
So there's nothing wrong with more jiu-jitsu.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with more jiu-jitsu. So, like, how often now do you train?
I try and get there at least 3 days a week. In the beginning, I was going like 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like, 1 to 2 7 a.m. classes. Then I'll hit like 1 or 2 midday classes, and then usually Saturday morning. It varies week to week because I run a construction business, and when it slows down, I'm there a lot, at least 5 days. But when I'm busy, I just pop in when I can. At least 3 sessions a week though, minimum.
Okay. Now have oh wow, I just lost the question again. But since you've been training jiu-jitsu, like, did you have any idea that jiu-jitsu would have like helped you with your journey?
I didn't. I remember years ago I trained at Sarah's for like maybe a month, and I was still kind of fucking around with the drugs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not as bad as it got, but like dabbling here and there, and I just wasn't ready for it. And then recently, about a year ago, I got clean, and maybe like 3 to 4 weeks after I got clean, I was on my way home in my truck one day, and I'm just sitting there like listening to music, just zoning out, thinking, and I'm like, you know what? I have the time and the money and like the energy to do this shit right now. I was like, holy shit, I'm going back to jiu-jitsu. I was like practically crying on my way home from work. I was like, I'm fucking going back. I was like, you know what I'm saying? I never thought I would get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I signed up like the next day, and sorry, what was your question?
No, I was just asking, like, did you, like, would you have thought, like, this would have been the thing that, like, really helped you with your everyday problems, with your addiction and everything? Like, did you think, like, jiu-jitsu would have been that answer?
Yeah, so I didn't even join it for that. I just joined it because I just love the sport of it, whether it's, mixed martial arts or just jiu-jitsu specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I said, it's not a replacement for therapy and AA and all that, although not to minimize my past experience, but I don't have a lot of stuff to work out from my past, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not a replacement for AA or NA or anything like that, but it does. It's people need hobbies. They can't work all day and come home and sit there and stare at the TV all night or play video games. It's just not a productive hobby. Like, the way I am is I'm either at jiu-jitsu, or I'm designing t-shirts, or I'm working on logo design. Like, I have to be doing something, and maybe that's something from using in the past, where it's like now I have to constantly be stimulated.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great way to get exercise. Like, who wants to go on the treadmill and stare straight ahead and jog? Like, the sweat and the workout that I get in from a few 5-minute rolls in a row is equal, if not more, than jogging on a treadmill, let's say, and it's 10 times more fun. And so even just the workout alone is worth it. Never mind being able to defend yourself and just being in the moment. That's a big one. Being in the moment. Like, when you're in a roll, people are trying to break your limbs. They're trying to maybe not your training partners, but they're trying to choke you out. And you have to be in that moment 100%. And there's nothing else in my life that's like that.
Definitely. Yeah. And I talk about that a lot too. You can't focus on anything else. Like, when you're, I go to the gym a lot. I go to the gym 3 days a week, and I train 3 days a week. So I do both. I love the workout aspect of going to, like, Planet Fitness and whatnot, but I'm stagnant. I'm stationed. I'm running on the treadmill. I'm lifting weights, so I'm not, like, necessarily moving a lot. But it's just something about, like, when it comes to jiu-jitsu, I can train. I can go to the gym, do jiu-jitsu 4 or 5 hours and still be craving more.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, recently, I just got my brown belt, and
Right.
I was like, thank you. And we got done with that because it was, like, literally the only thing we did that day. I was just sitting there standing in the middle of the mats like, I don't want to go home yet. Like, I just did this grueling test that took, basically the whole time class, but I was like, man, I still want to go. I still want to work. I still want to work some stuff. I still want to do jiu-jitsu, but yeah, like, I love that aspect about it because you have to focus on what you're doing. Like you said, you have someone who's trying to break your arm or choke you out or, snap your knee, if you're not paying that no attention, you're definitely going to be in some trouble.
Yeah, and talk about staying in the moment. So I'm training. What's today? Today is Sunday. So I'm training. I'm training yesterday morning, and I'm rolling with a training partner of mine, Tomas, and he gets on my back, and for a split second, I go to pull my shirt over my stomach because my stomach's sticking out a little bit. I go to pull my shirt over my stomach. He sinks a choking. Talk about being in the moment. For the split second, that I'm like, oh, let me cover my hairy ass stomach. I go to cover it. He's got a full rear naked choke, and I'm like, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
That split second, you got to be 100% in the moment, or you're done.
You're done. That's funny. That's hilarious. But yeah, that's the right concept to have. Like, you can't think about anything that's going on the outside. You can't think about your girlfriend, your significant other. You can't think about your job. You can't think about bills. You can't think about nothing but jiu-jitsu. Or like you're staring at the ceiling, the whole class standing over you like, you okay? They're like, well, what happened? Like you got choked out. And he's like, I don't even remember. I was thinking about something, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, that's what happened.
And speaking about concepts, that's a big tool that I've used. Like, I'm only a year and I'm only 3 stripes, but I think I perform a little bit above my rank. I don't know. Maybe we'll get my teacher on here one day. But anyway, the point is that I just stick to concepts. I might not know every flashy new move that's out there, but you stick to concepts and you just navigate your way. I just navigate my way through rolls, like staying tight and off balancing and I don't got to tell you, you're a brown belt, but if you just stick to the concepts, you might not know the details of every move, but you can navigate your way through a roll and be pretty successful.
Yeah, and I couldn't have said it, better myself. We always get those, we get white belts in, and it's great that you actually learn that concept early, because some people don't even get it now, and even some blue belts I know that don't get that concept. Hell, even purple belts. But yeah, you have to be able, to follow your bases, follow your rules. We got our rules and principles and stuff like that. And just, you have to be able to survive first. Like, once you're able to be comfortable being uncomfortable, being comfortable with, this guy who got you by 100+ pounds, smashing your face on the mats, grinding his elbow in your jaw or your ribs or whatever, once you get past that, then everything else would, start to open up. Because, we'll, like, me and one of the other brown belt, we'll roll, or I'll roll with a lower belt, and they'll be like, dude, how are you so calm? I'm like, because I'm used to this. Yeah, I do this in my sleep.
Comfort and chaos.
Yeah, because they'll we'll be messing around. They'll get a choke, and it can be tight. It can be cinched in, but I'm just keeping myself calm. Because they're not going to know how to react to that. Because they're going to like, okay, he's calm. He's too calm. Oh, maybe I don't get it. Maybe
that's what you could do. Is I first of all, half the time I'm singing when people have me mounted and just messing with them.
Yes, that is me.
The mental game is half the fun. And honestly, if somebody's like cranking on a choke, all you got to do is get a few fingers in on their forearm and just survive the first 5 seconds of their squeeze. Then their squeeze weakens, and then you know what I'm saying, or they'll give up on it because they think it's not working or they don't have it in right. Like, the mental game is half of it.
It's hilarious because I do that too. Like, I'll start singing a song, or I'll be whispering like, "Oh, you smell nice," and and it's like, or I'll be like, "Hey, how many seeds are in the strawberry?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, oh, nothing. Just have a general conversation. Let's roll. And they're like, "What?" And boom, hit the sweep and everything else. But yeah,
that's half the fun right there.
It is half the fun. It is half the fun. So, in your school, is it a fairly large school, or is it like small?
We just opened about a year and a half ago.
Oh, nice.
We have maybe 50 adult members and then maybe like 100 kids.
That's still a lot. Wow, for a year.
It's something like that. Maybe that's a little much. Maybe I want to say 35 to 50 adults, and then kids, I think 60 plus. I'm not sure. I got to speak to my professor. It's a decent amount, though, over
But
100 members.
wow, that's awesome. That's man, congratulations to that. Because in a year, unless your instructor had a previous school or taught somewhere else, but that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, shout out to Professor Dan and Professor Magno. Magno has a school in Astoria as well.
Okay.
He's a Henzo black belt, so that's the lineage.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so Magno's one of my professor, and then Professor Dan is my other professor. Both amazing teachers.
Now, is this a competition school?
No, but I'm looking to compete soon, eventually. I've just been so busy with work, but I think my friend, one of my training partners, Luke, competes in judo. He has a judo background.
Mm-hmm.
And, we'll see. I speak to Professor Dan all the time. He says that there's some kids in there that are going to be world champions potentially. They're bringing some kid, some starting them young, and we'll see where it goes.
Now the question is, have you sat in the kids class before?
Yes.
Or
yes.
So so how do you guys structure y'all kids class?
So I think at the beginning he just had all the kids from like 4 to 12 training together.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm splitting it down to age groups like 4 to 7 and 8 to 12, and then if you're a little mature, you can go in the older class, whatever. But I've only been to a few kids classes that when it's a lot of younger kids, they'll do like obstacle course type stuff. They'll do some jiu-jitsu as well. But for example, we did a festival in Oyster Bay a couple of months ago. And me and Professor Dan were running the booth. We had the mat set up at the festival.
Mm-hmm.
And families from the community were walking by, like kids that trained there with their parents. And there's these little 8-year-old girls, 10-year-old girls, and they were scrappy. They were shooting with takedowns, taking the back, flipping each other over, and super scrappy. I couldn't believe it. Their stand-up was better than mine is. And so, yeah, it's, the kids there, they do a great job. They're young. You know how it is. When you're young like that, you got rubber bones.
Oh, yeah.
You get slammed on the mat. I'm 35, I'm dense, and I work a physical job. So if I get slammed on my back and hurt, it's not like I sit behind a desk all day. I got to be able to climb a ladder and swing a hammer. So I'm a little hesitant on the feet, although we do a decent amount of stand-up as well. But like I said, these young kids, they're just rolling around like animals.
Man, I love it.
Forget it.
Man, so I've been to a couple tournaments, and it's usually I don't know if you ever been to like a jiu-jitsu tournament or whatnot, but it's usually a lot of kids there.
Yeah,
it's a lot of kids. I'm talking. I think the last one that I've been to, I think it was like over 200 kids.
Really? Yeah. The one I went to, I think it was Pride BJJ, or what was the other one? I've been to 2, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was mostly adults. I didn't see many kids. Maybe they split it up, but I'll tell you one thing though. I watched a couple of matches and some of these guys were stalling like crazy. I'll tell you right now, if and when I do compete, I don't care if I get tapped. I don't care lose or win. My match is going to be exciting. There will be no stalling. I'm just going for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as it's exciting.
Yeah, you got to. And I was just about to touch on that too. Like, if you ever, I said this in the previous episode, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. Anybody who's listening that never trained before and you are interested in jiu-jitsu, or you want your kids to get into it, take them to a tournament. There's always local tournaments everywhere. And when I tell you, these kids will light a fire in you like you have never imagined. Because yeah, like you said, the older you get, you kind of have to be careful on how you move and everything else. So a lot of the matches do stall, or a lot of just fighting for grips and everything else. But these kids, man, are just animals. Just so ruthless and just so hungry. And especially when you see the kids as like training.
Yeah.
You know, like you see them doing a warm up with their parents. Their parents might be a teacher or a student as well, and they're doing warm ups. I'm like, okay, that kid's gonna be a problem, or this kid's gonna be, do damage. And um, the last tournament I was at, this one little girl, she stepped on the mats, and her opponent was a boy, and I guess he just thought because it was a girl, it was going to be like easy for him. So he's like not really paying attention, not really, really giving effort. And when I tell you, when that match started, this girl was on him. She crept in, shot for a double leg, got him down, and the whole time was just riding this kid. He was a little bigger than her, and she's twisting and turning and sweeping and everything else, and I'm just in shock. Like, cause she can't be no more than like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But she's moving like she's been doing this since she was 2.
Probably. I wish I started at that. I wish I started young. That's all right. When I have kids, we're gonna start them young.
Yeah, I started my daughter.
My girlfriend's looking at me with an angry face right now because I want to put our kids in jiu-jitsu when we have kids.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Sorry.
You just have to accept it.
Sorry.
Because same thing, like, when I started training and I was like, we had my daughter, she wasn't old enough yet, but I was like, yeah, when she gets older, she's going to be training.
You're going to be a jiu-jitsu mom, sorry.
Yeah.
Can actually make as a professional.
But she can join too. You can be a little jiu-jitsu family. Like I'm saying, like my wife trains now.
Your wife trains, yeah. I got her down there a couple of times. She's more into yoga and stuff like that. But we'll see. We do a little jiu-jitsu at home, and then I try and tell. She beats me up, and I try and tell her there's no striking in jiu-jitsu, but she doesn't listen to me.
But this is murder yoga.
Murder yoga, exactly.
Jiu-jitsu is murder yoga.
That's true. That's true.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of what else. So I know we talked about the addiction and everything, but like how has jiu-jitsu like I guess helped you in like a more like your job or just handle things on a personal on your everyday basis?
Well, I'll tell you this. When I go to a 7 a.m. morning class, there's no better way to start the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I go to that 7 a.m. class, I come home, I shower. I can do no wrong for the rest of the day. I mean, I could, but I choose not to. And it's like, there's nothing better than a morning session. You would think that after like heavy grappling like that, you'd be like shot for the rest of the day. But I never feel more alive than when I do a morning session, and then I go through the day like I'm the man because you are. While people are sleeping, you're on the mat doing heavy grappling and busting your ass. That's there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. I miss our morning classes because we were doing morning classes Wednesday and Friday. So we have like our Tuesday and Thursday night class, and then we have our Wednesday, Friday morning classes. And I was more excited for the morning classes than anything because it's like it was small. It was like just me, the instructor, maybe like 1 or 2 other people, but mainly it was just me and him. So it was just like, oh, this is a private. I'm getting the juiciness from the source. I don't have to share it with nobody because it's like, okay, this is what we did Tuesday. All right, let's kick it up a little bit. Let's dive more deep into what we were doing the Tuesday night or the Thursday night. And it was just like, oh man, what a way to start a morning.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I like being at a little bit of a smaller school because some classes there'll be 10 plus people, but a lot of classes like 5 people. It's practically private lessons.
Yeah.
Every class.
Yeah. Like I'm not really a big fan of large classes because a lot of people who have like great potential can get lost very easily.
Yeah.
And they it could be that one person that that just need that extra little tweak and extra little help to become probably one of the greatest practitioners that we've ever seen, but they get lost in the crowd when especially as a large school. Our school, yeah, we probably have roughly about 12 members. Mm-hmm. On a good day we probably get like 6 or 7. and that's pushing it. But everyone knows everybody, so everyone trains together, and so much work can get done when there's like I feel like when there's like a smaller class.
Absolutely.
So,
What are you in Detroit?
Yeah, I'm in Detroit. Yep, I'm in Detroit, but I train in Oak Park.
Okay, and so there's 12 members total.
Yep, about 12 people. Yep.
And you gotta up those numbers out there. What's going on, Detroit?
I know, man. Look, this is like why I started this, because I want people to hear like everyday people who just found this sport and just fell in love and just did it. Because when people like I talk to people and be like, they're like, oh no, what you do, you're getting in shape or you're losing weight and you're doing this, you're doing that. What are you doing? I'm doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
They be like, they'll say like, oh, is that like karate, like kicking this? Nah, it's not.
My God, the other day, I was like, bro, why don't you come try out jiu-jitsu? He's like, oh, I'm not really into karate. I'm like, oh my God.
I'm like, that's fine. So just come do jiu-jitsu. Like, I didn't say anything about karate. I said jiu-jitsu.
I was about to put him in a standing head and arm choke, but that's besides the point.
But yeah, man, I want people to at least try it. You'll find something out of jiu-jitsu, and you'll be utterly surprised when you do.
Yeah, it's a little intimidating. It's a combat sport, but any decent academy, if there's a new guy there, you're just gonna walk through the motions. First day, you're gonna do bridge and hip escape. You're gonna do upa. You're gonna do knee elbow maybe, and then just work from there.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be smashing people on their first day. I remember I brought my cousin down, my cousin Lou, and I'm not going to name names, but it's the end, it's like his second class. And we're at the end of class and we're doing live rolling. All of a sudden I look over and one of my training partners is just guillotining the shit out of my cousin. I'm like, thanks, bro. It's my cousin. It's like his second day. You really got to guillotine him like that? You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Come on, man. Can't do that.
That's right. That's all right. Lou's a wrestler. He wrestled all his life. He's young and he's scrappy. And he'll be there. He slowed down training a little bit because he had college and a new job. He's young. He's like 18, but he'll be back soon, and maybe he'll get some revenge eventually.
Nice, but like you said, it can seem very intimidating, but we don't make people do anything they're not comfortable doing. Like, you come in, you're fresh off the street. It's like me being an assistant instructor, I try my best to teach them how to do our snakes or shrimping, moving on the ground, kind of break it down a little bit more for them, and whatnot. And then we'll work our technique, and I'll take a little bit more time because they don't know this stuff. So I'll take them, we'll take them to the sides. Okay, this is how you break this down. We're going to not necessarily pay attention to the whole entire class, but we're going to take pieces of what we're learning right now, and we're just going to figure out what you can do, what you can understand, and then we can, build from there.
And what's great about jiu-jitsu?
Mm-hmm.
Like, a new guy comes in, and the professor's like, all right, we're going to go over shrimping and bridging and hip escape, or whatever, upa and whatever else. And, I don't know what's in other people's heads, but I'm sure there's people in there that are like, oh man, I already know this. But honestly, every time, like even something I learned on day one that I use every day, upa or whatever, every time it's taught to me, I learn a different detail.
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a phase for a little bit where I was, what was I doing? I was trying to do knee elbow escape, but I wasn't breaking his posture down. And this is like 6 months in. And I'm like, why can't I knee elbow escape? And then all of a sudden we went over and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I need to break his posture down. What am I doing? Like sometimes you just you just get caught up with other things, and there's always room for improvement in every movement. You could always sharpen that blade.
Yeah. And I personally wanted to break that stereotype about jiu-jitsu about, purple belts don't show up to warm-ups.
Yeah.
Like, I crack jokes on people about that all the time, like in the different Facebook groups, like, yeah, I just got, I'm purple or I'm blue. I was like, hey, you're closer to not doing warm-ups. But dude, I still practice the basics every day. Even at home, I have a little space in my house and I have my mats down. I'll come in here, I'll do, shrimping or snakes or bridges and stuff in class. Like I teach the kids class, so I'm there early. I'm working on something. It's always the same thing. Go in, work my basics, get ready for class. Like no matter what, you cannot do your basic stuff. Because that's your
good. Yeah, you can't be too good at bridging and you can't be too good at hip escaping.
Yeah.
Like there's such powerful movements that it'll get you. Yeah, you can fake it till you make it. As long as you got some basics under your belt, and you do well with them. I mean, like I said, there's always room for improvement, but it's good. It's good to have a good foundation.
Yeah, it's always good to have a good foundation. And even my instructor, he's a black belt, and he still does it.
Oh, of course.
So it's not like he's just sitting on the side like, y'all go do that and blah blah blah. Like no, he's down there snaking with us. He's down there working whatever drills that we're doing, or he's leading the drills. It's that fundamental is still a big part of jiu-jitsu, no matter what rank you are.
Yeah, and those are movements that you'll always use. Not everybody's going to be doing a berimbolo every roll.
No,
but the bridging and the hip escaping is always needed.
Always, no matter what, it's always needed.
All right, so let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
What is your favorite technique?
Ooh, what is my favorite technique?
Let's say, what's your go-to submission?
So right now, my favorite submission has been short choke.
So what is that? A one arm choke from the back, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's been something I've been trying to hunt for. Yeah, literally since I've been a brown belt, because I've been trying to up my game and try to work to get to different scenarios. So if my main goal in each role is to get into a position to do that short choke, that's going to be my focus. That's my destination. So I need to find every single path to get there, no matter where I start.
That's something that I'm covering now that I'm a year in. I'm starting to have like routes where I let's say whatever I'm mounted, and I can upa into their guard, which is not great, or I knee elbow, which is better. Something I've been doing lately is turning on my side, letting them take my back, and then when they put their hooks in, I cross their feet for them and I tap them with when you triangle over their feet. I've been driving people crazy with that shit. I let them take my back, and then they get so flustered they can't even do any type of choke. And a couple of times we've been doing some training where we start with like the choke fully locked in, and like I said before, I get a couple of fingers in there, wait for that squeeze to lighten just a little bit, grab the other hand, and then address the choke hand. But yeah, anyway, the point is that now that I'm like a year in, I'm starting to find like routes that I like, and for me, my go-to submission would be the Americana from side control.
Nice.
Well, Americana.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to have that mindset so early in your journey, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's coming together a little bit. I'm still a shitty white belt, but I do pretty good. Good for myself. But another one of my favorites that's super tricky is inverted triangle from bottom side control.
I use that as a back take.
Okay.
I try to set that up as a back take, because usually when you're going for that inverted triangle, the first thing they're going to do is try to push away and walk their feet towards your head. So I drop the leg, swim the legs under, and come up and take their back.
You're gonna have to show me that one day.
Yeah, sure.
What I like to do is I get my frames in, one on the hip, one like on the shoulder with my forearm flaring into their neck. Your frame side control, but then what I'll do is I'll take my forearm and I'll kind of just lay it out there as bait and think they're about to get a Kimura Americana. As soon as they grab it, I pummel it in between my legs, and now I have them in like that crucifix position. I start stretching them out, and I go for that inverted. It's super sneaky. People don't expect it. They think they have like a free Americana, and all of a sudden, before they know it, they're in like a crucifix position. They have no idea what's going on. But then you can only get it like once. Once you get it on one of your training partners, they know it's coming. But I'll still get it here and there.
Your mindset is very dangerous, and I like it. I like it. you definitely think like a higher rank. You have that mid blue belt like mindset.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot.
Yeah, cause I've Jesus Christ, there's literally been one other lower white belt, well he's a blue belt now, but it's only one other person and that's one of my training partners, Ray Martin. Like as a white belt, he was picking up stuff so fast, super intelligent guy, and he was just that same way. Like man, it's weird that you're picking up some stuff so fast. But no, that's man. I have to come see you, man.
Listen, let me know when you're in New York. I'm on Long Island, but I owe all any knowledge I have goes to my professors, Professor Dan and Professor Magno. They really are great.
Man, bravos and kudos to those guys. They're definitely teaching you right, man. Definitely teaching you right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but was there, man, if you had any other questions or any other things you want to talk about, the floor is yours, man.
That's about it. Shout out to Oyster Bay Jiu Jitsu, all my training partners. Like I said, Professor Dan and Professor Magno, you guys are the best. They, all you guys, my training partners as well, changed my life. And thank you for having me on. Let me know.
Oh man, yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been a great honor to talk to you so early in your career with Jiu Jitsu, and we're gonna talk again. And I would love to see how far you go, man.
Absolutely. I will keep you posted, and you do the same. It was great talking to you.
Yes, sir. So that's the end of today's episode. Once again, I would like to thank Michael for coming in and sharing his tales and his experiences with jiu-jitsu. Please go and follow our Facebook and Instagram page to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been the Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day.